All right, I'll put a piece of here. Creating a thought. What is tolerance and intolerance? How it started? When you have a religion, when you have many religions, many beliefs, you have tolerance. When you all of a sudden start having only one belief in one God, then you have intolerance. Because you believe that you're correct and everybody else is wrong. That becomes a problem. We talk about how intolerance began, and everything began in the greatest empire ever, the Roman Empire. And intolerance began slowly with the assassination of the living God, the Messiah, the Lord and Savior, the Christus, Gaius Iulius Caesar. Had conquered a lot of territory. It was a very big empire at the time of Iulius Caesar. And the main traders and merchants of the empire were the Christi, were the Jews, which actually originating in about 1290. They are actually the boat or the sea people that conquer a lot. They were raiders, and they conquer a lot of cities and try to take over governments. And they would become today called the Jews. And they were all over in Rome. Their buildings were just Roman buildings. The synagogues, they adopted many different beliefs and religions into their own religion. But the main God to them was actually the Christus, the guy that had really saved them and helped them, Iulius Caesar. Then he got assassinated. But there is no evidence of Christians at Rome, because the only Christians were the followers of Iulius Caesar. And the Catacombs and all that, no symbols of Christianity at all, but just pagan symbols. And the Jews used the Catacombs like all the other
of Judea. Meanwhile, there were Jews in Rome. I mean, Rome was not just Roman. There were a lot of Jews here and had been here for a very long time.
There were probably 11 synagogal communities in Rome.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of synagogal communities, but they were named after the emperor. So they took it seriously that they were Roman and Jewish at the same time.
They went to the baseball games.
Absolutely. They certainly played Roman, and they did everything that a Roman would do, except for their own particular needs as Jews and their own religious traditions. There were at least 30,000 Jews in Rome, and 30,000 Jews in Rome.
Here is a synagogue by the Tiber River. I took this photograph, and look at the door, and above the lintel is like a swastika. It's the Greek key, but actually the Romans used the swastika, and the Vatican too, as you can see it, is a symbol of the sun.
Well, and they could fight. They were farmers and they were warriors. There wasn't much else. When they begin to conquer the other peoples in the Mediterranean, now they're elevating their culture because they're conquering people who have an older traditions. And now the Romans and the Jewish slaves who are brought back as teachers for building build this amazing amphitheater that, of course, is the largest amphitheater in the Roman world.
Slaves, but master builders. There are probably countless buttresses and joints in this megalithic amphitheater that are crafted and inspired by Jewish master masons.
A lot of the so-called slaves actually work voluntarily. They make money on it, and the Jews did. So don't let anybody kid you. People that are slaves, they don't work that well, and nothing.
Was the artwork and inscriptions on the catacomb walls. They show that these tombs were not Christian. Catacomb chaperone Michaela Vitali guides me through the maze. We can only stay down here for 45 minutes at a time because of the high levels of CO2 and radon gas.
How old is it?
From the end of
What about Buddhist tombs? Christian. There were no Christians over there. Christian means followers of an anointed person. That Iulius Caesar was an anointed Messiah.
Cubicola, Arcosolio,
Oh gosh.
They closed it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the bones weren't exposed in ancient.
Christ is not Jesus' last name, retard. Last name, retard.
This is the resurrection of the god Antoninus Pius. Look at his temple on the right, just like the one in the catacombs. The Jews love these guys.
This is an Arcosolia, this is the temple.
Temple? Oh, wow. This is breathtaking.
It's beautiful.
Nora?
They love Iulius Caesar. Iulius Caesar, the god Iulius Caesar, protected the Jews. They were the first one at his funeral. The Jews were the merchants of the empire, the Christi. Why don't you say that?
The sun, the star, and the...
That's right.
The star. That's the star of the Messiah.
No, the star of Julius Caesar, yes.
A star will come out of Judah.
Look at the star of Caesar's comet in his temple in Rome. Go see it. Because you have an archaeologist, and this one is a coin for 130 years later of Merenptah in Jerusalem. Again with the star. Now read this book. I suggest you read it. Here are more with he's been crowned with his comet by the son of God Augustus in a coin. Here are more coins with the star. How many more stars you want? And here is the one of Merenptah again, another coin. Oh man, you ought to get educated. It's important.
Michaela doesn't see early Christian symbols in these Jewish catacombs.
Of course not.
But I see them everywhere.
Yeah, you see them because you're an idiot. You're a retard. You call yourself an archaeologist?
Clearly a tail of the dolphin with three
Christian
prongs.
symbols. What a moron.
But this is very interesting because the
Dolphins were considered sacred. Here is the dolphin man, and Neptune is represented here with the trident and the sea snake. Here is a coin of Neptune again. And if the fish were sacred from Oxyrhynchus, and they were actually the blood from the god Osiris in Egypt. Here, you can read this. You have to learn archaeology. And if you put all this together, look at that. What is a sacred fish? All these, there were a lot of temples to the Virgin Mary in that area.
Call yourself Jewish?
represents Neptune.
Archaeologist?
The trident together with dolphin could say that it's a Judeo.
But you know what a Christus means?
I'm sorry to say.
It's anointed. Messiah. Anointed.
The Trinity.
Fucking get his degree in archaeology from.
Taken over from pagan symbolism.
Come on, man.
It's not for Jews.
Well, if it's Jews who might have believed in Jesus as Messiah.
Oh, God, what
You
an
have to
idiot.
agree that the dolphin and the trident is not a typical Jewish symbol.
No. I don't think so.
So there's a mystery.
Oh, bullshit.
Okay, say yes.
The Jews adopted the religion of the Roman Empire of Julius Caesar because of Herod.
Sources of tradition can be traced will forever plague the archaeologist.
Oh, plague. It
They
doesn't
never
plague me.
know if these ancient catacombs actually
Look at the
contain
stars.
the remains of the Jewish men and women.
Look at the stars in the ceiling.
Jewish Christians who provided the theological
bullshit.
stepping stones that led to Roman Christianity. But
Roman Christianity, my
There is no
ass.
evidence
What a
of
bunch of-
Christianity in Rome. There were many sects that follow there were many religions, all kind of beliefs. They're very tolerant. Here are the ceilings in the Roman art, in the vaults, and they were all copied by everybody. Even the Jews had that. The Jews actually follow a Christus also, but there were many of them. Here is Hadrian's villa, a son of God, Hadrian. Look at the vaults, look at the temples, and Roman temples, and that's what the synagogues come from this architectural idea. But all the Jews originated from the Sea peoples of 1290 BCE.
The first of two battles with the Sea peoples took place on land near the Syrian border of Egypt. Ramses' victory was decisive, but he still had to confront their navy.
Ramses III, actually.
Evidence suggests the navy of the Sea peoples was formidable. Still, paintings on the walls of Ramses' temples depict his archers bravely firing countless arrows from the shore and from ships into the enemy's ranks.
So it was really one of the great military success stories of ancient Egypt.
That's what is believed the Hebrews,
Despite
the
his glorious
Israelis came from. The Jews.
Ramses III was forced to put down yet another invasion 3 years later. They proceeded to count the enemy dead. This was accomplished by cutting off their right hands, which were brought before the pharaoh and tallied. In one case, Ramses III ordered a recount. This time in a gruesome display of spite,
penis.
the enemy's phalluses were severed.
Yes, that's what they counted with, the penises.
I believe that's where the practice of circumcision came from. The Egyptians were very, very tolerant of all religions because they have many, many, many gods. The Sea people, the Jews, actually remembered that defeat, and they were absorbed by many, many populations and continued the practice of cutting their penises so that way they remember that defeat and become stronger. The cult of Christus, of Iulius Christus, had spread all over the empire, had many, many different names. Constantine initiated the cult only of the one in Rome, creating intolerance, and that's the reason we have intolerance. And the Sea people were, now the Jews, the merchants, very brilliant people, were the scapegoats of this insanity. We create God with our brains. Christianity has been because of great intolerance and crazy thinking. They belong in mental institutions. Sorry, it's the truth.